Louis Conter is the last person alive today who remembers Pearl Harbor. 83 years ago, he watched the Arizona explode during the Japanese attack and nearly drowned in the burning Pacific. Now 102, Louis is the final guardian of his fallen shipmates' memory. How has he carried this ultimate responsibility for decades? Louis Anthony Conter's story isn't just a survival story. It's also the incredible journey of the final witness to America's most defining moment and the memory guardian of 1,177 fallen sailors. His journey from Colorado farm boy to Pearl Harbor survivor, from young sailor to living legend, from anonymous quartermaster to historical icon, is the most profound example of the courage, resilience, and lifelong responsibility that an ordinary individual can show under extraordinary circumstances. Here are the incredible details you'll see in this story. Louis was standing watch on Arizona's quarterdeck on the morning of December 7, 1941. He saw Japanese bombs falling, witnessed the battleship explosion, swam through burning fuel oil, and made a miraculous escape through sharks and debris field. The USS Arizona assignment was typical for a young Navy enlisted man, but the historical significance was unimaginable. Before the Pearl Harbor attack, Louis was performing routine military duty, seamanship, watches, training exercises. Normal naval life was suddenly transformed into history's most infamous naval disaster. Survival itself was miraculous. Arizona exploded and sunk in 9 minutes. 1,177 crew members died instantly or were trapped below decks. Louis's escape route through burning oil, debris field, and enemy strafing runs required incredible luck, quick thinking, and physical endurance. Post-Pearl Harbor life was challenging. Survivor's guilt, continued war service, lifelong interviews, memorial responsibilities. Louis became a living symbol of Pearl Harbor memory and the final connection between the current generation and those tragic events. The most impressive part is this. At 102 years old, Louis is still an active Pearl Harbor speaker. Schools, veterans groups, memorial services, everywhere he goes, Louis carries the memory of 1,177 voices. The responsibility never ended. Before we dive into Louis Conter's incredible story, let us quickly introduce ourselves. On this channel, we share the world's most inspiring true stories. We tell tales of the power of human will, the limits of courage, and the epic journeys of people who achieved the impossible. If you want to watch more of these compelling stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. This way, you'll be notified immediately when we upload new videos. We also love interacting with you in the comments. How did this story affect you? Have you faced major challenges in your own life? Or what other heroes' stories would you like us to cover? Share in the comments below. We read and respond to all of them. Now, let's get to Louis Conter's magnificent journey from Colorado ranch life to Navy enlistment, from USS Arizona assignment to the December 7, 1941 attack, and finally to his final guardian responsibility 83 years later at age 102. Louis's story shows us that being a historical witness is an extraordinary responsibility, and being a memory guardian requires a lifetime commitment. Survival, service, remembrance, all of these were necessary foundations for his final role as Pearl Harbor living history. Are you ready? Then let's begin this incredible journey from Colorado farm boy to America's last Pearl Harbor witness. Louis Anthony Conter was born on September 13, 1921, in a small farming community in Ojus, Colorado. His father, Antonio Conter, was an Italian immigrant who worked cattle at a local ranch, while his mother, Gilda, was a hard-working farm wife. Lewis's childhood was typical of rural Western life: livestock care, outdoor work, self-reliance, family values. But Lewis harbored different dreams beyond farm life. The Colorado ranch country was harsh, but character-building for young people. Lewis's daily chores included cattle feeding, fence repair, hay hauling, equipment maintenance. Physical work developed strength and endurance, while the isolated environment taught self-sufficiency. During elementary school years, Lewis demonstrated academic curiosity and mechanical aptitude. The rural school had limited resources, but teachers were dedicated to student development. Lewis was particularly interested in geography and history. Distant places fascinated him from ranch isolation. Family financial struggles were typical of Depression-era rural families. Cattle prices were low, weather was unpredictable, farm income was insufficient for comfortable living. Lewis witnessed his parents' daily struggle and understood the necessity of hard work. During high school years in Ojus, Lewis expanded his horizons through reading and conversations with traveling salesmen. The outside world appealed to him and promised adventure and opportunity. Ranch life was secure, but limiting for an ambitious young man. Athletic activities were limited at the rural school, but Lewis participated in available sports. His physical conditioning was excellent due to ranch work, and his competitive spirit was strong. Leadership qualities began to emerge in peer interactions. As graduation approached, Lewis faced serious decision. Ranch inheritance was available to continue the family tradition, but military service appealed to him with promises of adventure and travel. His parents were supportive of their son's ambitions. After his 18th birthday, Lewis finalized his decision to enlist in the Navy. The ocean fascinated the landlocked Colorado boy, and the Navy offered technical training, travel opportunities, and steady income. The call to adventure was irresistible. The recruitment process in Denver was straightforward. Louis's physical condition was excellent, his education was adequate, and his character references were strong. The Navy was eager for young recruits, and Louis qualified for all requirements. The family farewell at the ranch was emotional. His parents were proud of their son's service, but worried about the dangers. Lewis promised to stay in touch and return to visit the ranch whenever possible. Boot camp at Great Lakes Naval Training Station was challenging but manageable for Lewis. His physical conditioning was superior due to his ranch background, and discipline was familiar from the farm work ethic. Military structure was actually comforting. Naval training was comprehensive in seamanship, navigation, weapons, and communications. Louis particularly excelled in practical skills, knot tying, seamanship, mechanical systems. His ranch experience was translatable to naval duties. His assignment preferences included large ship duty with the Pacific Fleet. Lewis was eager to see tropical waters and exotic ports. A Hawaii assignment was the ultimate dream for a young sailor, a paradise posting with warm weather. The USS Arizona assignment in December 1940 was thrilling news. Arizona was a prestigious battleship assignment, modern vessel, experienced crew, Pearl Harbor home port. Lewis was excited to join the prestigious ship. The travel to Hawaii was Lewis's first ocean voyage. The Pacific crossing was fascinating for the landlocked boy. Endless water, marine life, tropical weather. The approach to Hawaii was magnificent. Volcanic mountains, lush vegetation, crystal waters. Pearl Harbor was an impressive naval base. Massive ships, thousands of personnel, obvious strategic importance. Arizona was an imposing battleship, 608 feet in length, 37,000 tons displacement, impressive armament. Lewis was proud to serve aboard the flagship. His ship assignment was quarterdeck duty, watch standing, visitor control, ceremonial functions. It was a responsible position requiring attention to detail and good judgment. Lewis took the responsibility seriously. Crew integration was a gradual process. The Arizona crew was experienced and professional. Lewis learned naval traditions, ship routines, and combat procedures. His shipmates were accepting of the earnest young sailor. The Hawaiian lifestyle was appealing during off-duty hours. Honolulu liberty, beach recreation, tropical exploration. It was indeed a paradise posting. Lewis enjoyed the cultural diversity and natural beauty. Training exercises were regular in Pacific Fleet operations: gunnery practice, formation steaming, damage control drills. Lewis developed expertise in naval operations and understood the ship's capabilities. In November 1941, tension increased in the Pacific. Japanese military buildup was concerning according to intelligence reports. Fleet readiness was enhanced in preparation for potential conflict. Early December was routine at Pearl Harbor: normal training schedule, liberty rotation, maintenance activities. There was no indication of imminent catastrophic attack. Sunday, December 7th, was planned as a relaxed day. On the morning of December 7th, 1941, Lewis was on quarterdeck watch at 7:30. It was a beautiful Hawaiian morning. Clear skies, calm seas, peaceful harbor. The normal Sunday routine had begun. Church services were planned. Liberty parties were organizing. At 7:55, an unusual aircraft sound attracted attention. A formation was approaching Pearl Harbor from the north. It appeared to be a training exercise. Lewis observed the aircraft approach toward the runways. Suddenly, explosions erupted at Ford Island. Aircraft were clearly dropping bombs. Lewis realized immediately, this is not a drill. The Japanese attack had begun. The general quarters alarm sounded throughout Arizona. The crew rushed to battle stations as explosions continued around the harbor. Lewis remained at his duty position on the quarterdeck as ordered. The Japanese aircraft were numerous and well coordinated. Torpedo planes, dive bombers, fighters. A comprehensive attack formation. Harbor defenses were unprepared for the surprise assault. Arizona was taking hits from bombs and torpedoes. Explosions rocked the ship, and casualties began mounting. Lewis witnessed shipmates falling, damage spreading, and the situation deteriorating rapidly. At 8:06, a massive explosion occurred in Arizona's forward magazines. The forward powder magazines detonated. The ship lifted out of the water, then settled quickly. The explosion was devastating and immediate. Lewis was thrown clear by the explosion force. He briefly lost consciousness, then found himself in the water surrounded by burning fuel oil. The ship was sinking rapidly. Survivors were struggling in the water. Burning oil was a major hazard for survivors. Thick black fuel oil was covering the harbor surface, and igniting patches created fire hazards. Lewis had to swim carefully to avoid burning areas. The debris field was dangerous for navigation. Ship parts, personal items, bodies were floating everywhere. Lewis had to navigate carefully through the debris to reach safety. Rescue boats were approaching the burning harbor areas. Small craft were picking up survivors from the burning water. Lewis swam to a boat and was pulled aboard by rescuers. Hospital ship treatment was brief for minor injuries. Lewis was fortunate to have avoided serious burns or wounds. Medical personnel were overwhelmed with massive casualties. Temporary quarters ashore were crowded with Arizona survivors. Roll call was devastating. 1,177 shipmates were missing or confirmed dead. Lewis was a survivor among 335 of the total crew of 1,512. Survivor interviews were conducted by intelligence personnel for attack details. Lewis provided a detailed account of events, Japanese aircraft descriptions, timing, and damage assessment. Immediate assignment was temporary duty on other ships. Arizona was a total loss, but surviving crew members were needed on other vessels to continue the war effort. Service had to continue. The war declaration on December 8th was personal for Louis. He had witnessed the attack, lost shipmates, and revenge motivation was strong. The Pacific War had become a personal battle. Subsequent war service was extensive in the Pacific theater. Multiple ship assignments, combat operations, island campaigns. Louis's distinguished service record earned advancement and commendations. Post-war adjustment to civilian life was challenging. Combat experience, Pearl Harbor trauma, survivor guilt. Psychological burdens were heavy. Support systems were limited in that era. The return to the family ranch was temporary. Rural life was appealing for peace, but restless energy required purpose. Louis pursued various civilian careers. Marriage and family life provided stability for emotional healing. His wife was understanding of military experience and supportive of veteran adjustment. Children brought joy and purpose. Pearl Harbor anniversary commemorations became an annual obligation. Survivor appearances, memorial services, school presentations. Louis accepted responsibility as a historical witness. Media interviews were frequent for historical documentation. Newspapers, magazines, television, documentaries. Louis was a reliable source for accurate information about Pearl Harbor events. Fellow survivor connections were important for emotional support. Annual reunions, correspondence, shared experiences. There was a special brotherhood among those who witnessed December 7th. The aging process reduced survivor numbers annually. Deaths, health problems, memory issues. Louis was among the diminishing group of Pearl Harbor witnesses. In his final years, Louis became the sole remaining Arizona survivor. The ultimate weight of responsibility for historical memory. Every interview, speech, and appearance carried the voices of 1,177 fallen shipmates. Health maintenance was a priority for continued service. Medical care, physical therapy, mental sharpness preservation. Louis was determined to continue his mission as long as possible. Family support was essential for continued activities, transportation, scheduling, care assistance. Louis's family understood the historical importance of his mission. Educational appearances were his favorite activity. School visits, university lectures, youth organizations. Young generations needed to hear the first-hand Pearl Harbor account. Memorial services were a sacred duty. Arizona memorial ceremonies, veterans events, military functions. Louis represented all fallen shipmates at these occasions. Historical accuracy was an important mission. Correcting misinformation, clarifying details, preserving the authentic account. Louis was the authoritative source for December 7th events. Legacy planning was a serious consideration. Historical records, recorded interviews, written accounts. Louis ensured that Pearl Harbor memory would survive beyond his lifetime. Personal reflections were deep 83 years later. Survivor guilt, lost friends, life meaning, historical significance. Louis was philosophical about his role in destiny. At his current age of 102, Louis was still active on a limited basis. Health permitted occasional appearances, interviews, and memorial participation. His mission continued to the possible extent. His final witness status was a profound responsibility. When Louis passes, no living person will remain who witnessed the Arizona explosion. Historical memory will transition to recorded accounts. His message was consistent at all appearances. Remember Pearl Harbor, honor the fallen, preserve freedom, prepare for defense. The lessons were relevant for every generation. The burden of being the last witness was both honor and weight. Lewis carried not just his own memories, but the collective memory of all who perished. Every story he told represented hundreds of untold stories. His voice had become the voice of 1,177 men who could no longer speak for themselves. This sacred trust drove him to continue public appearances despite advanced age and health challenges. The transition from survivor to symbol to final witness happened gradually over decades. Each passing year reduced the number of those who remembered, until Louis alone remained to bear witness. His simple presence at memorial services became more powerful than any speech. The living link to that day of infamy, the human connection to history that textbooks could never provide. Young people meeting Lewis understood they were meeting history itself. Not just someone who read about Pearl Harbor, but someone who lived it, breathed the smoke, felt the explosions, lost friends. The responsibility weighed heavily, but never crushed him. Lewis understood that his survival came with purpose: to remember, to tell, to honor, to educate. This mission sustained him through decades. As his 102nd birthday approached, Lewis remained committed to his role as guardian of memory. Each day was a gift that allowed him to fulfill his duty to the fallen. Louis Conter, still guarding Pearl Harbor memory 83 years later, shows that historical witness responsibility is a lifetime commitment. Being the final survivor at 102 means carrying the voices of 1,177 fallen shipmates. This sacred trust requires extraordinary dedication. The most powerful lesson: true heroism isn't just survival, it's lifelong service. After Lewis escaped Pearl Harbor, he became a memory guardian for decades. Remember Pearl Harbor wasn't just a slogan, but became a personal mission. December 7, 1941, teaches universal principles: the necessity of vigilance, the price of freedom, the honor of sacrifice. Lewis proved that an individual witness can keep history alive and transfer lessons to future generations. You too can follow Lewis's example in your own Pearl Harbor memories. Witness important events, preserve stories, teach younger generations. Remember, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Lewis's legacy continues in every school visit, memorial service, and interview. The values he learned in his Colorado ranch childhood are still relevant today. Service, sacrifice, remembrance. True witnesses make history a personal responsibility. The greatest honor we can give Lewis is to continue his message. Remember Pearl Harbor, honor the fallen, defend freedom, always be prepared.